Good evening, everyone. My name is Deepak, and welcome you in the Bartender series, a very special episode about the Indian spirits in the global market. So today, I have one of my very good friend, Carl Fernandez, who also known as the Ferry Guy in India. So let's get him connected with us.
Hello,
Hello,
hello. What's
Mr.
up?
Penny Guy.
How are you?
I'm very good.
I
What about you,
seen
buddy?
I seen you were facing a few natural calamities.
Yeah,
You've
that's
been
why
going
I've
off
seen
your
my
job.
location. If you see, before I was at the rooftop. Now I'm just
Yeah, I
one
seen
floor
that.
down.
Yeah, I seen that. But that was an awesome view out there, and there was a lot of trees out there. What floor was that? Which floor was
That
that on?
that was 63rd floor,
Which
like
floor?
163,
Oh my god!
and
Wow.
it's
I'm on the
almost like
second floor, and I have a pretty good view behind. Some
like
greenery for you.
right now I'm at 62 floor.
Wow, awesome, awesome.
So yeah, it's like the unexpected rain and very God, it's getting bad now. So that's why I had to change my location.
Nice. So, how are you doing? I'm meeting you after so long. I mean,
Dude,
I've seen you.
of
We
course,
have worked
of course.
together after
I
so
want to
long.
say the same thing. Last time I think I met you in Mumbai. That's also like around 2014, if I'm not wrong.
Hi, Afzal. How are you? Yeah. I mean, we're meeting after a very long time, eh? Doing something
Yeah,
after so
very
long
long
together.
time. So it's really good to see you, and especially to see your work. I can say to see your work, what all you're doing.
Yeah.
I
I
still
mean, it's
remember
fun.
when as I say, I still remember when we used to work together and we used to talk about the Goa and all, and you're always excited, Deepak, I'm going Goa. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going Goa, I'm going another part. And you're like, okay, I'm going Goa. And whenever there's an event about the Goa, you're the first person who's like, you're like, oh, I'm allowed to go Goa.
Yeah, because that's my hometown, right? So, I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, but I my roots are from Goa, and it
Okay.
always excites me to be a part of it, and that's what I do now, and I'm super happy that I'm into it now. We've got the rains going now. We've got a nice weather. So the weather
That's
here in the
good.
day is a little sunny,
Uh-huh.
but in the evenings we get some nice showers. So it's the right time, I think. So I mean, it's beautiful.
Good. Like, the Goa is always beautiful, man. Like, I remember when we used to go together, like, some per day, not always, sometimes, but we always had a good time. That's a different thing that we only get a few hours to enjoy, and the rest all is just working.
Rest of the time we are just working, right? Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay, so,
So I hope you can hear me clearly, right, Deepak? You
yeah,
can hear me
I am.
clearly, right?
I think very.
Yeah.
Okay,
Guys, if
so,
you can't hear me, you can always comment, and I'll try to be a little louder. At the
no
same time,
problem.
if you like the way I look, also you can comment. I don't mind that. I like those comments.
Okay, so I think like we have a lot of audience, and most of the people know Carl already. So Carl is the brand ambassador of Kazula Penny, and this is the very special episode, or you can say series, I tried to conduct about the rise of Indian spirit in the market, or you can say in the international market. We all know about the Indian rum, Indian blended whiskeys, but we hardly know what new products in the market, especially for a person like me. I left India in 2014, and since that, now I see the products and I'm like all so surprised. Like the fanny business going so high. There's so many different type of drinks coming from India. There's single malts coming from India, and I'm like, wow, India is actually doing great.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot happening in India. There's like a complete revolutionary change in the liquor industry, and I am happy to be a part of it, and I'm super happy to take advantage of it as well. So,
Yeah, you're
I'm
the first person in the whole series.
yeah, thank you. Awesome.
Okay, so everyone like about the Fanny, I have like some handouts about the Fanny which I want to share with you before Carl starts sharing his experience and everything. Let me share some with you guys about the Fanny. Fanny is a local Indian spirit which is distilled in the only the Goa region of India. Okay, basically it's made either with the cashew nuts or some other thing, sometimes with the, or even with the coconut. The first Fanny in the world made with the coconut. The name word Feni derives from the Sanskrit word called Fena, that is froth.
Okay.
And this is why this name froth Fena came because when you shake the bottle of penny, a little bit froth come on the top, or you can say bubbles. They were the name derives Fena. So this penny also know in the local Goan language is penny. It's not Seni, it's Senny. So the pronunciation is something different. So this is all the details which I received from the internet. And next we're going to talk with the Carl, who's going to share more details about the Spanish because this is what we do. This is what we best for. So Carl, like it's a long time as we're talking, it's a long time man, like to see you, and I'm so happy to see you on this particular level where you actually representing a particular brand and doing such a great thing. And like I hardly see somebody taking a local spirit on the another level, which you're doing.
Yeah.
Really proud
So
of you.
thank you, bro. That's
I
very
still
kind.
remember the year 2010 when we met first time in Anjuman Islam, and now when I see you, that time you used to be like very slim and all these things,
Yeah.
and
That time
now
I'd
I see
actually
you.
come for a flair competition at that time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I won it. But yeah, I
Yeah,
had
you
come for a
did.
flair
You did.
competition at that time, and that's where we met. And that's when I actually threw a 2 liter Sprite bottle into the air, and I caught. And when I opened it, it opened like a champagne, and it just flew on everyone. That was a stupid mistake, but in spite of that, I still won. So
The main thing is like whatever you did in that competition, it's all you did with your heart and all your practice and your passion. That's the most important thing. And this is what we always talk. Like if you're doing something, do with all your passion. I still remember after the competition, I'm talking to Amit Zariali sir, and even I'm talking to Vinny, and they say that
yeah,
maybe he dropped the bottle, maybe he opened the bottle like a champion, but he not stopped. He not stopped. He's just
yeah,
doing
it
his
does
thing.
stop.
So that's like the
And
most important part.
that's been an important part. I've been super positive, and I've never stopped being a bartender throughout my whole career. Maybe yes, you brought back one memory of mine of flaring at Anjuman Islam, but when I moved ahead also in career,
Uh huh.
nothing stopped me from being a bartender that I am today, and nothing still stops me from going ahead in and being a bartender still. No matter
We
however big I become or whatever I do, and however old I get, in my heart, I still am a bartender, and that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be called.
that's for sure. That's for sure. I think so. Okay, so Carl, this is what I want to share about you, which I already mentioned, and let's talk about something 101. So, like I know, like many people know you already, and I see a lot of viewers from India. So people know you already, but maybe something which they don't know, and I want to bring that thing out, and I want to also get your knowledge to reach to the maximum people. So, can you tell me something about you and how you started your career in the beverage industry?
So right now, with the current situation, I am in a really good spot. You can see, I mean, it's really good where I am. But when I started my career around 10 years down the line, uh, I really had no directions. I was just blindly following my heart because at that time when we studied in colleges and did our degrees, a bartender would have to the next position for him in the industry would be being a captain
Yes,
or a manager, right? There was nothing else at that time. They were just building up at that time in 2010 with few brand ambassadors. We didn't know about that role. So for me it was I didn't know which direction I was going. What got me to it was flair, and that's what I liked, the whole style of working behind the bar. And I had that whole dream of flaring and throwing bottles in the air and looking cool. But eventually, as I moved ahead in my career, I actually realized what bartending was. And there are certain every job that I did taught me something. So first I was at ITC Maratha. That paid me like say 5,000, and I worked for more than 12 hours. My travel to ITC Maratha for the whole month was more than my salary, and still I worked as a bartender. But the funny part over there, the thing that I always remember and will remember, was when I gave my interview for that place, the F&B manager said that, you know what, in my interview, he said, you know what, I'm going to put you in the, I'm clear, right? You can hear me. I'm not pausing or getting lagged or something, right?
No. You're fine.
Okay. So this guy takes my interview and he says, you know what, I'm going to put you in the coffee shop, in the all-day dining. And I was like, no, I want to work in the bar. I want to work at the Bombay High bar that they have. And he said, you know, you have to start as a waiter. I'll put you as a waiter. And I said, okay, I'll take it. But I'll still work in the bar. And he gave me this one dialogue that I always remember, and I still remember today. He said, what, you want to start as a bartender and die as a bartender? And without a second thought, I was like, yes, I don't mind. I want to. I don't mind dying as a bartender, but that's what I want to do. And he said, okay, fine, I'll give you the bar, join the bar. And that's what I learned over there, right? But also when I worked over there, it was pretty difficult. It was a very difficult atmosphere, working for 18 hours, getting paid so less after you pay so much for your college fees, and then you get paid so less. Your family also is thinking, what are you doing with your career? That's where I joined Flaming Trial. That's where we met as well. And you know why we worked at Flaming Trial? We worked for one particular reason. That was a space that gave bartenders the utmost importance.
Yes,
and that's what I pick
up.
up from Flaming Trio. They made us great. We were like the star, the champions of the show. Wherever we went, we were like pampered to the core. We were given the best rooms. We were taken by flight. That whole life, and they showed us the world over there. But in my head, I mean, you cannot be a wedding bartender even at the age of 30, right? I wanted to explore more. I wanted to see what's more in the industry. So I said, you know what, I'll go ahead, and I joined Westin, a 5-star, back again. So I left ITC, I joined a 5-star again, Westin. But there I was actually learning about the back office work that you need to know in a bar. So when you work in a bar, you need to know your paperwork really well. And that's where I learned inventory, pass stock, all paperworks, and a little bit of hotel politics. Very important to understand when you're working in this industry. So I learned that. Moved ahead to Hakkasan. That's a place where I had my flair skills. I also had my mixology skills, which I picked up in Westin. Put them together in a very niche market that liked this thing known as cocktails. Hi, Akash. So like these things as cocktails, and they would pay any price for it, but it had to be perfect. Hakkasan taught me perfection, at the same time consistency. You know, when we worked in those wedding bars with Flaming Trio at those different events, we never used a peg measure. Never.
Yeah,
Using a
never,
peg measure
never,
was a
never.
sin. Okay. And when I worked at Hakkasan, they would not let me make a fresh lime soda without a peg measure. I had one of the best teams to work with. I learned with them, and then I became a head bartender over there. That really taught me managing a team. Eventually, I moved to Goa. I started working with Diageo as a brand ambassador, complete new role. So I thought always a bartender.
I remember that part.
About what part do you remember?
About the Diageo, when you moved to Diageo Goa, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
bro, you actually made it. You're taking to the Diageo Goa.
Yeah, so I was super happy about that. Other than just being a bartender, you could still have a different role in bartending as a brand ambassador. And I was not going to become a restaurant manager, which I always thought, or a beverage manager or a bar manager. I was super happy I got a role, and Diageo brought the scope for us, right? And over there, I was introduced to a new market, a market that thought completely different, very different. And this was a big challenge, but at the same time, it was my roots, right? So I kept pushing. in spite of these challenges. So Goa is a very organic place. Okay, it's not like a city life. It's very different, and because of which you have traveling issues, you have internet issues, you have weather issues, everything, even sourcing ingredients, you have issues with them. But only if you're an outsider. Once you become local, that I am now, okay, I can proudly say I am a part of them now. You really get a hang of things, and you see that there's much more beauty in it, and that's what Diageo helped me with. They literally paid me to explore Goa, and I did it well. Now, after doing so much, I didn't want to leave Goa, right? They actually, I really immersed myself into this place, and I could not leave it. That's when I decided to step out of Diageo and work with Firefly.
Okay.
So Firefly I work with this, I consult this really fun bar, which is owned by a really happening guy called Donovan Vaz in South Goa, in Benaulim. That's near Kolwa, Margaon, that side, in South Goa. And here, the Goan culture prevails. If you go to the regular tourist destinations, you will see what the world wants to see. But if you want to see real Goa, this place, this bar, has 90% of locals that actually visit this bar. If you walk into the bar, the Firefly bar, you will immediately be noticed as an outsider because of the kind of loyalty that people have. There are guests whom if we don't see for more than 2 days, my owner will actually call them up and ask, hey, you know what? I've not seen you for so many days. Where are you? How are you? Are you fine? It's that kind of a bar, that kind of a local vibe, that kind of a personal space. And everybody welcomes you at this bar, complete different atmosphere. And I recently had the advantage of going and visiting the bar after 2 months of this pandemic. It is shut right now. So after 2 months, I got a chance to go see it. And that whole vibrant place has completely turned into a quiet, dusty little small, like it was very saddening. It was very disappointing. But anyways, it's the kind of times that we have. And I've faced such situations before, and that's when Donovan was, okay, the owner of Firefly, introduced me to Hansel Vaz, the owner of Kazulo. They're brothers. Firefly in Konkani means Kazulo.
Okay.
So 2 years back, he introduced me to Hansel. I met Hansel many times before, but only spoke to him. Never really worked or thought of working with him. And that's where 2 years back, I decided, you know what, I have the skills. I've built it up being a brand ambassador. I can really work on this and take it ahead. And that's when I said I wanted a brand that has no rules. And Kazulo is a brand that has no rules. We build the rules for it. We build the standards. We build the benchmark. And I said, you know, this is the best place to practice what I learned when I came to Goa. And that's what I do now. And that's what I do with Kazulo.
This is what you are right now, like a funny boy, funny guy. Hey, hi Hiten. Hi Jeet Rana.
Hey Jeet, what's up?
So yeah, of course, so as you explained, like the way you moved to Goa, you start doing the thing, and then finally you are like, okay, you want to do something for a particular brand, and you make the things in a positive way. Yeah, this is all matters, and that's why I say that you are the good person to start off this entire series about the Indian spirit, or even the Penny. So, about you already explained like how your journey about the Kazulo started. Okay, so I don't want to repeat this thing again.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you think about the Penny and why it's only come from Goa.
Goa. So, Feni has a very long history. Okay, it as you rightly said, it started with distilling coconut Feni. This goes back to the 1500s. So India was distilling a little before that, and that's when we also, like my studies as for now, says that distilling came into practice more evidently during the 1500s. Was when a lot of distilling was happening, and India also was distilling at that time, and Goa was distilling. So cashew as a fruit was not the first one. They were distilling actually toddy at that time. Eventually, I believe they must have. So cashew was just like how every other part of the world looks at it. It was just the nut that they looked at. The fruit was not really looked at as a productive fruit. They didn't actually commercialize it. But it was our ancestors in Goa that actually took that extra thought and an extra leap of saying, you know what, can we ferment this? And then they did it.
Vinny here. Vinny here, you want to say hello?
Hey, Benny, how are you? Nice to have you here. So, they found the cashew fruit, they made a wine out of it, they distilled it, they made a wine out of it. Maybe it didn't work. Then they took it ahead and they did the first distillation. That's called urak. That's drunk when the cashew season is here. And that completely makes sense because, you know, a low ABV spirit will not last for long. The esters are not able to stay, or the oils are not trapped in at low ABV. So urak is a drink that you get here in Goa. That is the first distill of cashew wine, and it's called burnt cashew wine or urak. Okay, and it's a seasonal drink. Then I think so they did a double distillation, and they got Feni. So Feni is usually double distilled or triple distilled,
Okay.
made from the cashew Feni, and it's made from the cashew fruit. Whereas coconut has been here for very long. I really love that spirit as well. But it is cashew Feni that has gained its name in the past few years. Okay, I can say from the time India took over Goa from the Portuguese from 1961, it has been always cashew Feni that has grown over here. Cashew is looked at a double crash crop in Goa, and because of its commercial values that they seen in 2009, the Feni Distillers and Bottlers Association decided to give it a geographical indication. So it becomes like what your mezcal or your tequila or your cachaça or your pisco is to the world is what Feni is to the world. You can only produce it in Goa, and with a certain set of laws that are actually picked up from the 18th century, around 1750s, when the Portuguese put up laws for Feni. These are the same laws that are being still followed. So they're super cultural, extremely old style of distillation techniques and production methods and bottling methods. At the same time, commercial commerce trade is also on a very similar basis. There is over here in Goa, you have to have auctions every year for your crop. You cannot just say, I'm buying this farm is mine, and I will. There are auctions for farms. You've got to buy the fruit and then distill it. Same for the nut. It's very different. The whole way around this is very different over here.
Like, yeah, even I do know about this part before, which you just mentioned that there is some law or by the Portuguese implemented, but it's good to know that actually there are some laws to follow to do this distribution this particular product. Really good. Before I go ahead, Vinny has some questions for you. I think you can see on your screen.
Yeah. I see
You want to reply?
it. So, yeah. So I'll tell you, Deepak, when me and you used to come to work also in Goa, okay, you used to we used to ask me, we used to think about it, that Feni has this very strong smell, harsh smell. We don't get it in our parties too. And I used to sometimes say, I won't drink Feni and things like that. And that's what I realized when I came to Goa. The people here drink it a lot, but it's their kept secret. They don't actually give it to everyone. If you go to someone's house, yes, you'll have it. But when that guy is having a party in a bar, he doesn't have it over there. Or he's having a party for his friends, he doesn't keep Feni over there. Feni is when you're sitting with him in his space, in his own personal space, and having a drink. And that's how Goa has always been. The smell that you were talking about is not a smell unless you're used to it. It's a very unique fruit, right? How many times have you eaten cashew apples? It's not a fruit that you get in your basket every day,
Yeah.
right?
No.
It's a very unique. Now, taking that same flavor and concentrating it into a bottle through distillation, it's the same flavor. It's concentrated. So it is like me giving you a lavender oil bottle, saying it has lavender essential oils in it, concentrated, and you take a drop of it, it's going to explode, right? The similar way, cashew feni is the same thing. It's that concentration which, if you've not had it regularly and you just have it all of a sudden, it's going to hit you. So you've got to, the way we found, that's what we do with Kazulo, the way we found a way around this is in cocktails. But cocktails that pair well. So cashew feni, usually and generally, if combined with tropical fruits like guava, pineapples, anything that grows in summer, jackfruit. I recently made an awesome punch drink with jackfruit, really good. Today I'm having kokum, so another summer fruit. Okay, this is a kokum drink that I'm having. These kind of tropical flavors, mangoes also go really well with cashew feni, and that's why I put up these videos on my Instagram for people to see and understand. Whereas a little bit of spice. So we do a guava Mary with cashew feni, and it goes really well. And a little bit of citrus. So citrus, spice, tropical flavors, and a few herbs like rosemary, mint, thyme. Herbs like these go really well with cashew feni. So as long as you're combining and you're masking the flavors and you're just letting out as much as a person can take, it is perfect. Once he gets used to it, he will be able to even have it on the rocks. It's the same way how we develop our drinking styles. We might start with a rum and coke and eventually start having whiskey sodas and then go on whiskey on ice and then have whiskey straight up, right? So the same way
I hope you're not. I hope you're not going to say about the port wine and coke.
Port wine?
I'm not, I say. I hope you're not going to say port wine and coke like the Louis style.
So yeah, eventually you develop a palate, and that's what we do with the brand. Other than just promoting Feni, we also promote the way you drink it, and that's very important. So that's a way around Vinny's question that he asked.
So that means basically you need to play around the flavor around this particular spirit, and then only you're able to lower down the strong aroma of Feni.
And that's where we come in role. See, you also got to understand it is made in Goa, right, Feni? But it cannot be sold to anyone in the state, outside the state. Outside of Goa, we cannot sell Feni to Maharashtra, Karnataka, to our neighbors, anywhere.
Okay.
It can be only exported, and that's the kind of laws that we have. But still, I have you calling me all the way from Thailand, which is awesome. So people have now understood flavors and learned to play around it, and we want to bring this secret to them. As a brand, Kazulo, we want to bring this secret flavor to them and want to tell them, you know what? Why don't you try something with this and tell us what can you do with it? And that's what we do with the brand. We always put it in the other person's coat and say, you know, you tell me how it works. You tell me how to prepare it. So that's how it works.
This is the same thing. Remember, like during your last month Feni Day, International Feni Day, and I'm like, okay, bro,
Yeah.
I have a half bottle of Feni, and you surprised that how come you have Feni at your home, and I'm like, I have some sauces, and I want to do something out of it. And that time we are talking to do a particular video or something. I hope you remember that part, right?
Yeah. So I was doing a video. We were doing a video of the World Feni Week, and we got a lot of support from everybody, and that's what we require. We require support, and we require people to believe in us. We believe that y'all are ambassadors more than me being the ambassador. I'm just bringing it out there. I am just standing along with the brand, but it's your support and people's support that gets it out for us.
That's always. People always support what they like, and for me, it's a very important to showcase the products coming from my own country, India. People, as I mentioned in the starting, people know India since so many years or so many centuries about the country, about the dark rum and the blended whiskey, but they never take Feni as a global brand, or you can say the spirit which can go
And
out
that's
of the
what we are
Goa.
changing. and that's what we're changing. So what we've not worked in these years, see, the brand has been here. Feni has been here for more than 200 years. Kazulo has started
Yeah.
off 8 years back. Feni has been here for more
Yeah.
than 200 years. But Kazulo as a brand has started off 8 years back. But the impact that it has put is because it's striking the right notes. We say that we do not support Feni, but also there has been no brands that have given enough reasons to drink Feni. The only reason you drink Feni for the last 3 years that I was working with Hansel was at the carnivals. But now we see so much more. And that's why we made that World Feni Week. Another reason for you to drink Feni. And then we just recently started with the Sanjao, another reason to drink Feni. And we are going to highlight all these days related to culture. We're going to get the people over here first to love their Feni. They love it. They love it to the core. But we'll give them reasons to keep enjoying it.
Enjoying it.
And that is what a brand requires. That is what brands do. That's why the World Gin Day and all these other days are created. And it's not going to happen only with our brand. We want other brands to support it. So that is the point. So someone was asking why we called it Feni. So yes, you gave an answer that.
He's the same guy, Saurabh, who also messaged and he wanted to know how you take out the hard part of Feni. You remember I sent you the question?
Yeah, so see, first of all, the word Feni, it's still not very clear how did it come to being. Okay, they say yes, Fena means froth. So when during the fermentation there is froth. Or some say that when you shake a bottle of Feni, okay, you see bubbles in it. Okay, but it doesn't really satisfy the thought. It has to still be discovered. A story still has to be discovered around it. Regarding distillation, now this is, I mean, you can see a cellar here, but on our page, the Fazenda Kazulo, or on my page as well, there'll be a lot of pictures of a Feni cellar, of a Feni distillery. The production method is really old school. This is something that I used to read in my books, and when I used to see cognac distillation and those whole pots that were created, and this still exists. They still have a functioning distillery that has techniques that go way back above 100 years easy. They're very old school techniques. Craft distillation, if you want to define it, we do just 80 liters at a time, a batch of 80 liters. People say craft is when you're below 3,000 liters, but we are real craft. We are like so small. We do 80 liters at a time. Everybody has to distill in a small pot. Nobody has a pot still over here, a big copper pot still. A small 80-liter pot. And we keep distilling in that, and we provide enough Feni for the whole of Goa through those pots. But so similarly, when it comes to cutting the head, we do not have computerized machines and things like that. It is a guy who decides the amount of firewood to be put in for the quantity of or the higher amount of flame that he wants. So this flame, so if he's doing his first distillation, the Urak, it's done on very high flame. So obviously the boiling point has reached close to 90. Automatically, there's a lot of methanol that will not, there's no methanol that will condense, it straight away evaporates because methanol will evaporate at 72. So it directly goes out in the air. And then this is their technique. This is the old school technique. And then Hansel will take a bottle of Kazulo and take it to a lab to get it tested. So every batch is tested and in a lab, and then they know it's clear. But these guys who actually are distillers, are master distillers, are guys who will put down a fire, look at how big the fire is, smoke a BD, okay, and decide the amount of time. It depends on the number of BDs he smokes is the amount of time. That's art. But Hansel calls it magic, and I believe that's magic. That's something different. And that's what I want to learn. That's what I'm here to see. I want to understand how they can get these things on point. How they can get this thing. So another interesting point. So heads, this is, I told you how they do it. Another interesting point is how do they find out the ABV of Feni? These master distillers, okay? Hansel will use his meter his alcohol meter that he has. It's called the Grau meter, where it's a very old school this. So ABV as proof, okay, or you have degrees, okay. This is a Grau. So a Feni is 22 Grau.
Okay.
And how do they know it? It's through water displacement. But Hansel uses that gadget. But these guys will use two glasses, okay, chai glasses. They call them Karls out here, okay,
Okay.
and he will pour it from glass to glass. First, I thought he was looking at the legs and the speed at which the alcohol flows. But no, he was looking at the bubbles and the time those bubbles take to burst.
Oh.
Maybe that's where the word Feni came from. I don't know. But those bubbles determine the strength of your Feni.
Okay.
And that's the technique that they use. They get it spot on. You want 40, they'll give you 40. You want 42.8, not 42.8, but 42, they'll give you 42. And that is just through this. I don't know.
How they have
Magic.
The magic. But it's good to know actually, like how they use their own old school techniques to do just check
Yes,
the ABV.
and that's the reason we started this place called the Fazenda Gazulo, which is a place where you can really understand Feni, because people have a lot of popular imagination. Like I had popular imagination. Like I actually thought that Feni had a very harsh smell that could not be overcome, but I was wrong. I was fighting against that smell. I didn't know I had to use those aromas to create a good cocktail. And that is why we created that a whole distillery and cellar that you can see in the picture. So we give you a whole tour of the place. Okay, we get you into this culture that we have. We make you a part of it, and then we sit down in a cellar where, for the first time in the world, we have so many people who sit down together and talk about Feni. We always have people sitting and talking about whiskey, cognacs, rums, but this is one place where you can sit down and we talk about what Feni is and how do you drink it. That's what we do. This is where I call it, we baptize people here. You sit down and I will convert you into a Feni drinker.
Maybe like next time when I come to Goa, you need to do the same.
Sure. I mean, we are preparing ourselves even more better now for you all to come down. Like big guys, like you all will come down, then we need to be at our best. So we are ready. And please do let us know whenever you're down here.
Sure, like hopefully once everything is over, I have to come India. It's almost 3 years for me.
Yeah. So
I'm
please
working.
come down.
Yeah.
Please come down.
So, buddy, like, let's come up to the point. Like, what is we are talking right now? What do you think about the Indian spirit? Like, I'm giving you a wide topic to share your experience, your knowledge, or whatever you want to put. Indian spirit. What do you think?
So I cannot speak much on the hands of Indian spirits. You know, when we worked at that time, Amrut was a big Indian spirit that was actually.
Like I remember, no, for me, the time when we used to work together, for us, the biggest Indian brand, or you can say the brand people know very well, was the Old Monk.
Old Monk, yes.
The Old Monk.
Yes.
Then the Amrut come in the light in year 2013 something.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
after,
I know. I believe Old Monk was a big brand, but and they worked on exports, but they were really. I mean, they didn't hit the niche market.
yes,
They were available like that. There are many brands. I work for. I also have friends working for big brands who, like Neon and Highbury, who export. They have like around 69 brands that they export out of India. And Old Monk is one of their brands that they also bottle for India,
Okay.
and they do export a lot. But still, I feel Amrut was the first spirit to actually get into the niche market,
Yes,
and that's
that's
what
true.
everybody is working on now. Everybody in the Indian market is working on that. I see Paul John now taking the whole mark on it and making sure that it keeps going ahead, keeps penetrating the market. I mean, I seen posts of celebrating Whiskey Day, and everybody in most of the pictures I seen Paul John somewhere or other there, and they are creating a mark of calling themselves the Indian single malt because they're keeping up very high standards. But also the Goa, I can speak more about the Goa market because I've been here for a
Yes, yes,
while.
yes. Of course.
And the Goa market encourages the alcohol business, the alcohol industry. I have a lot of products that are coming up and a lot of roles for brand ambassadors or brand consultants that come up in Goa. So we have the Paul John Distillery over here as well. We have the Greater Than Distillery. We have Greater Than and Hapusha. We have the Stranger and Son Distillery out here. Kazulo is here always, has been here always. Distillery, and then you have the Goa Brewery, which make awesome beers. They introduced the Eight Finger Eddie, which was an introduction style beer, IPA, introduction style IPA, uh, and they create a lot of different variants as and when. Like they created the pineapple Szechuan once, which was really interesting. We've got another local brewery called Susegado, which also works on very different techniques. So like that, there are a lot of interesting top niche brands that are coming up and are concentrating more on quality. And that is interesting. I mean, it shows a lot of scope in Goa for brands to grow. And a lot of opportunities here for bartenders to take these brands ahead. So, Indian spirits are rising, and they are doing what is right. That's what I believe. They're taking the right path. They're taking the right path.
Yeah, and actually you're right on this point that actually Indian spirits is taking going on another level. I remember last month when I'm talking to Louis, and I was so surprised that actually he's taking care of the Paul John. He's taking care of the Paul John band, and he's doing the entire promotion, marketing, and all this thing for the Paul John. And I'm like, wow, that's like something which I think Louis will do in the end, but Louis by actually taking care of the whole brand.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it's good actually, it's good. And it's always good to see that how come from a country there's brands coming out and making their international debut.
True.
Hey Rahul,
Yo, Rahul is here all the way from
yeah,
Haryana.
you know the first
भाई
time
नेटवर्क अच्छा है क्या?
भाई राहुल अभी क्यूबा लिब्रा पी रहा होगा क्यूबा लिब्रा का टाइम हो गया वो भी स्ट्रॉन्ग वाला
No, his favorite drink is the Goan Libre. The
जो
Goan Libre is Dukshiri and Coke. So we make. So I'll tell you what brands we have. So
yeah
the one with the
but you
pink.
need to send me the bottles also.
See, this is
In the
the best
Thailand we
kept
don't
secret of Goa. That's why this is the only reason that gets you to Goa again and again. So
I'll wait for a moment. Just wait for a moment, yeah.
so Rahul, what's happening? Deepak has left me and gone, so I'll talk to you.
Dude, the first time I've seen your friend in the Rahul bar, when I'm in Opad, the first time I see few products, so many products from Goa, and I'm so surprised. I'm like, wow, I never see all these products when I'm in India. I don't know
I
how
can hear
come
you, but I can't see you.
because I'm out of range.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you're talking to someone else.
No, I'm just talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, Rahul is right now working for the most competitive and most positive restaurant, O Pedro's and Bombay Canteen,
Yeah,
and
Bombay
they are
Canteen.
setting the mark for restaurants in this COVID situation. And I really like what they're doing. They're keeping it alive. They're showing people that we are not going to give up. And yes, that's really awesome. I mean, he's trying his best to come in and do a live session even after having bad network. So that's awesome, and I really appreciate that. So I was telling you about his drink, the favorite drink that he
Uh
drinks
huh.
when he's in Goa. So this is cashew, right? And
Uh
then
huh.
we
Okay.
have so it's pink label, and then you have a green label that's coconut. And along with that, we have another expression that we do not give out to other liquor stores, or we do not put it up anywhere in the market. It's only at the Vaz Enterprises in Kolva at their liquor store that they give it. And that's called Dukshiri. It's a coconut feni that is redistilled like a gin, but not with a lot of botanicals, just with one botanical that's called Indian Sarsaparilla. In Goa, they call it Dukshiri. Okay, it's a super earthy root. Okay, and when you combine that with a cola, is how it is traditionally drunk here. It's really awesome. And when I went to O Pedro's, me and I gave Rahul a bottle, and I think so we finished half of it over there itself. He could not stop sipping on it because I was handling the bar that day. I think so he had so much, but otherwise usually I don't see him drink so much. Hangover cure. So yeah, I mean we don't say this, but my boss Hansel Vaz is a very funny guy. Okay, so for experiment sake, okay, he and his friends used to drink quite a lot of Dukshiri every alternate night for a week, and they got up the next day fresh as a daisy. The next day he comes and says, you know what, Carl, Dukshiri is Ayurvedic actually used in the south of India, but he says, you know, this doesn't only cure joint pains, this also cures your hangover. You don't have a hangover the next day. I was like, Hansel, whatever happens, we are not promoting this brand like this. We cannot call it the hangover cure. But yes, we can do tell our friends that, you know what, if you drink a little extra of this, you will still get up fresh in the morning. So this should be your Sunday night drink in case you're having a party.
Oh God! Now you're really making me feel that I'm missing a lot of things about India. Especially I'm missing the Goa, right?
Yeah, bro. I will work out something for you. Let me see what I can. So during this lockdown, we've been brainstorming on a lot of different ideas, and we are really looking at the international market. But we don't want to just export. We do export to Canada. We've got offers to export to other states, other countries, and the India market also may open eventually with the kind of situations we are in. So, but we just don't want to send our brand out there. We want to bring it out with a bang, and we are planning on that. That's what we are looking at, and we are looking at international market coming soon. You have to stay tuned to know where are we coming. Okay, where are we going to be there, and we're going to try and launch next year sometime in an international market that will create the respect that Kazulo always deserves. I feel that that base will create the respect in everyone's. I mean, you all respect us a lot. The industry really respects us. But for the world to know that will create a baseline. And I'm just waiting for that day. We're just preparing ourselves for that day. So I will need your help in those terms. I will need your help, and I will get in touch with
we have all your support, and we wish best of luck to you and the whole team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so buddy, let's go to the next point. I think you already explained this point, but if you want to put something more, the key players of Indian spirits market.
I didn't get you. Sorry, I could not hear you.
Key players of Indian spirits market.
The key players, the first is us, of course. No, I'm just kidding. The key players in the Indian spirits are first the bartenders, you know. Like I said, popular imagination means imagining a story that you don't know is true or not. You just heard it over. And we create those popular imaginations. We are the people who, right now, in today's world, put that impression. Any brand wants to move forward or move back. It is our say that people take. Along with the marketing that comes around the brand also, but we prove that right. And I believe the key players in the industry are starting right from our mentors, the big guys, the sharks, to the very small, the boy who is in IHM Goa or is doing a bartending course somewhere in India, to there. Everybody should be on that same level, and it will flow from the top. The good vibes will flow from the top, and only then is Indian spirits going to rise. Also, the way brands approach. The only problem that we have in India is we are extremely influenced by the Western culture. Everything that we want to do is based on Western culture, and that is very wrong. There is nothing Indian in it. there has to be something Indian that has to be brought through. And that is what we do with Kazulo a lot. Yes, Goa is a culture that is influenced by the West because we had the Portuguese ruler. We were part of the Portuguese territory for nearly 451 years. But but it's not that we are influenced. We just bring what our people followed before. We're not saying that we want to be like this, we want to be like that. We are just being us. And that's what I believe will be a key for a bartender to sell. So a bartender can create a brand or break a brand. But even if he wants to create a brand, the brand has to give him those key points, right? Those key 7 points. And that has to do something with our culture somewhere or somehow. As long as it is bringing the history back to life, we will stand out. If we are going to just take the history of the West and say, gin was famous in London, it's not going to work. It has to have something more. Not just one, but has to have 5 points Indian and 2 points Western. And that's where it'll work. That's where it'll work.
That's really good to hear, like, about the point to. I say it's like more what I actually want to listen. You actually explain the thing what actually I want to listen. Thanks for that. I said thank you very much for this point. Another thing, another point I want actually you guys are already on this thing, but I want to ask you where Kazulo stands right now.
So we are there. We are like so close to achieving our goals, but for us, actually, frankly speaking, is just a start. When we achieve what we want next year or the coming year, because now we are completely frozen, right? But when we achieve that, it's just going to be the start for us to get to where everybody is. In our hearts, we are very positive. We know we are doing a good job, but the brand is just building. We might be looking good, we might be looking great, but we've not reached that mark yet for us in our hearts. I mean, me and Hansel, as a team, we know that. We know that whatever we're doing, people love it, but that's not going to be enough. So we believe that as things are going, by next year, we will just start our actual journey. The actual adventure is just going to start. Right now, we are just preparing our boats. You can just say that. We're just preparing our boats to go on that voyage like a Viking with a big smile.
It's good to hear. Like, actually, like you guys planning, guys. But I'm looking forward for the entire thing. I can honestly say looking forward to the entire thing. How the penny, or you can say the Goan is to take over the international market. Looking forward to see this.
Not looking forward, bro. You have to be with us. You have to support us.
Don't
You
worry.
just look.
Always. I'm always there.
Cheers to that, bro. Sound.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Okay, so Kyle, like another thing I want to ask you is your experience with Penny and Kazulo brand.
I didn't get you. What do you say?
I want to know that your experience with Penny and Kazulo as a brand.
Yeah, so we started off. I'll tell you how I started off with Hansel.
Yes.
I met him at a carnival stall where Akshay Mungekar, right?
Yes,
So Akshay Mungekar was free at that point of time. He was looking for a job, and I said, why don't you work with Hansel? And that's where we met Hansel first, and we were helping him with his stall, and eventually I somehow connected with Hansel, and he says he has a lot to learn from me, but even more, I've got a lot to learn from him as an entrepreneur and as a person who is building up a brand. And I want to learn that, and that's what my goal is. That's what I do. At the same time, what I'm expert at, right? I give him those ideas, and he picks up the best that he feels is right for the brand.